your feet, chilling at the beach. This feeling can't be beat, that's my Bahama land, yeah. Friends in every place, a smile on every face. Children at play, time with family today. Someone fill my plate, homemade bread, I can't wait. I can't get enough, I will always stay in touch with my Bahama land, yeah.
Rev Voice introduces Bahamaland, an unlimited nationwide calling plan for only $5 a month. So call home today and connect again with Bahamaland. Home never felt so close.
My Bahama land, yeah.
Months before the constitutional referendum, the necessary bills still haven't made it to Parliament. We'll tell you why. A prominent businessman's anti-VAT campaign intensifies. What the F&M thinks about the impending BEC deal, plus members of the Royal Navy sail into the Bahamas. Those stories and a whole lot more coming up. Good Sunday evening, everyone. I'm Bonnie Toot, and NB12 Weekend starts now. Topping news tonight, despite government's delay in bringing constitutional referendum bills to Parliament, Chairman of the Constitutional Commission Paul McQueenie says the Christie administration still has enough time to hold a constitutional referendum before the end of June. Opposition members blasted Prime Minister Perry Christie for failing to table bills before the end of 2013 as promised. Christie also said last year the referendum is expected no later than the end of June 2014. McQueenie says the process is now intensively underway.
If the government wants to, it could still meet the deadline that it originally projected for June. But, you know, that timing is entirely up to the government, really.
McQueenie told NB12 that first drafts of about 4 bills, which all deal with gender equality, could be tabled by next month. In fact, the commission chairman says he expects the bills to go before cabinet within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
First drafts have been done. They're being considered now by the Attorney General's office. The next step will be to present them to the Constitutional Commission for review. After that, they will then go to cabinet. Cabinet approves them, they'll then go to the House of Assembly. Even though that involves 4 different stages of the process, we expect those to go through pretty quickly.
In October 2013, Christie said in a communication the bills would be introduced in the House of Assembly before the end of the year and passed in both houses of Parliament by February. The referendum will address gender discrimination in the Constitution. McQueenie explained that there are 4 specific recommendations in the Constitutional Commission's report that deal with gender equality.
Some of them relate to citizenship, making sure that men and women are treated equally. There's a more generic one that applies under Article 26 of the Constitution, and that is to make sure that discrimination based on sex is outlawed as well. That is a ground of discrimination which is very conspicuously absent from Article 26.
McQueenie says he doesn't believe the referendum will be overshadowed by the controversy surrounding value-added tax, which will be implemented on July 1st, adding that the scope of the referendum will be very narrow and will not require an intensive public education campaign.
In the sense that it only deals with one particular group of constitutional issues, those relating to gender equality. So we think that the level of public education is probably not going to be all that great that's required. There's already been a lot of discussion about these issues. And remember, many of these issues were ventilated very fully back in the first referendum. So it's not as if the public is becoming acquainted with these issues for the first time.
And months before the summer implementation of value-added tax, calls for government to reconsider the controversial tax regime are growing louder. Prominent businessman Rupert Roberts is one of VAT's harshest critics. The SuperValue owner, who owns 13 stores across New Providence, says he will continue to make his voice heard.
To all, we'll survive, but the public won't. We have to pass it on to the public. VAT is a consumer tax. It's not intended to tax business, but there is a clarification we have to clear up with government, and that is that they're not prepared to give us VAT exempt on price control items, and they have to, or it'll wipe out the industry.
Last November, Financial Secretary John Rowe revealed VAT is likely to increase the cost of living by around 5 or 6%. While Robert says while he has no doubt his stores will survive the implementation of VAT, many Bahamians simply cannot afford what he called the added financial burden.
VAT is a negative way to tax the people. There are other ways. We have to raise the money to pay the national debt, but I think it's negative, and I don't think VAT will do it. I think the alternatives that the business community are offering government will do it. Nobody wants it. It's a negative system of taxation. Every island in the Caribbean that introduced it, it destroyed, and it will destroy the Bahamas.
Roberts adds that while he doesn't support VAT, he does acknowledge that the government must find a way to increase its revenue. Government plans to implement VAT on July 1st at a rate of 15%. VAT is expected to add $200 million in revenue in the first year of implementation. Free National Movement Chairman Darren Cash is accusing the government of rank hypocrisy following an announcement by Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis that government expects to finalize the Bahamas Electricity Corporation restructuring deal this month. Last year, Davis told NB12 no Bahamian bidders were involved in the process. Well, Cash asked today what happened to believing in Bahamians.
What is rather disappointing is that it represents a 180-degree reversal from the theme that the PLP played during the last general election. Before they became the government, everyone was singing off of the same hymn sheet. Very much pro-Bahamians, committed to empowering Bahamians.
Cash reminded Davis of remarks he made at a PLP job summit back in 2011 when he accused the F&M government of hiring foreigners and insisted the PLP would allow Bahamians to soar and succeed.
He said also, how can a government ask you to believe in them when they so often show that they do not believe in you? How can you trust someone who doesn't trust you? And on it goes. At least 3 or 4 more quotes suggesting that if they became the government, they would do something completely different. Well, the announcement was made that the BEC deal is going to be finalized, and there's no Bahamian participation. What this represents is yet another clear evidence of betrayal on the part of the Christie government.
Cash dismissed Davis's suggestion that the shortlisted companies are interested in including Bahamians in an equity and ownership arrangement. 5 companies remain in the running. The selected entities will offer power generation in the Bahamas and gain a management contract to take over transmission, distribution, and customer billing. Last fall, government officials revealed there would be a delay in the full implementation of the CCTV program. However, it's not the delay that has some people concerned. They find questions of privacy, well, unsettling. Jasmine Bonnaby sat down with Data Commissioner Sharmi Farrington-Austin to find out how those concerns are being addressed.
In recent years, CCTV has become one of several hot-button topics for the Data Commission, according to Farrington-Austin. Some are expressing concern over the Bahamas becoming a Big Brother state due to CCTV cameras being posted across the capital. National security officials have touted CCTV as an integral crime-fighting strategy by allowing the Royal Bahamas Police Force to monitor surveillance footage from cameras set up at various public spaces in New Providence. Farrington-Austin says while fighting crime is integral, the protection of privacy is also key.
And I want to make it clear that the Minister of National Security is within his right for the safety and security of the country to take certain measures. That's within the scope of our act. However, we want people to know that once CCTV is implemented, that they have the right to see images, CCTV images of themselves.
Former Data Commissioner George Rogers served as a member of the Special Advisory Committee on Closed Circuit Television. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is charged with the responsibility of administering and enforcing the Data Protection Information Act 2003. Its responsibilities include promoting the observance of good practices by data controllers and processors. She adds that includes the implementation of CCTV. For that reason, the Data Commission Office has set out some of its own guidelines to ensure CCTV does not invade anyone's privacy. And some of these rules may surprise you.
There should be clear signs indicating where the CCTVs are, and also the signs we would suggest they should be or indicate who is responsible for compliance and who should be contacted about the system. The CCTV images should only be used for the purposes for which it is installed. For instance, if it's to record criminal activity, then it should only be used to store criminal activity. So it must be consistent in the purpose for which it was used in the first place. Also, that the images should not be kept longer than the period that is necessary.
Farrington Austin says the most important thing to note is anyone being filmed has the right to view footage of himself or herself and can request that information. She adds that once CCTV is fully implemented, her office will monitor to ensure privacy rights are protected.
Our job here at the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is to ensure that the individual know their rights and how they are protected, and that is what we are committed to do, and we will do that job to the best of our ability.
And the Data Commissioner says there are a number of other projects that she'd like to educate the public on, including CCTV. Reporting from the Cecil Wallace Whitfield Building for NB12 Weekend, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Still to come on NB12, members of the Royal Navy lend a helping hand. Find out more when we return.